Hi, my name is Neil Williams, and for my PowerPoint I did Chapter 10, which is Professional Sport. And the first professional sports league was in 1879, and the very first professional sports team was the Cincinnati Red Stockings in the year 1869. And in 1879, the first professional league was formed. It was called the National League, and it was a baseball league. And to put it in perspective of that time, at that time the average annual salary of a United States citizen was $170, and the average player salary was $930. So that shows that even back then athletes were still making more money than the average citizen. And professional sport in America today. Today there are the 5 major leagues, which are the NBA, the MLB, the NFL, MLS, and NHL. And there are new smaller leagues emerging each year, and there are also a lot of minor leagues within each of those major leagues. And in order to own a professional sports franchise, one must possess a large amount of capital. And they must also have permission granted to them by the ownership committees of the leagues they're attempting to join. The very first commissioner of a sports league was Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis in 1920. The roles of commissioners include approval of player contracts, resolution of disputes between players and clubs, disciplinary matters, and rule-making authority. For labor relations, the first players' association was called the Brotherhood of Professional Baseball Players in 1885, which has since been disbanded. But currently, players are unionized in the following leagues: the NLL, the AHL, the ECHL, the MLB, the MLS, NBA, NFL, NHL, and WNBA. And once a league becomes unionized, league management cannot make changes to wages, hours, or terms and conditions of their employment and contracts. The contract resulting from these unionization negotiations and things like that results in what's called a collective bargaining agreement, or a CBA. Some rules about ownership in professional leagues are: the leagues impose restrictions on ownership rights, such as franchise rights and territorial rights. Franchise rights are privileges afforded to owners, such as money and things like that, and territorial rights limit another team from moving into their territory without getting permission granted them by the league. Owners are also given revenue sharing, which gives teams a portion of the league-wide revenue that all the teams are sharing. Example of some bans for ownership are that the NFL bans corporate ownership, so a single corporation can't own a team, and they also ban public ownership, except with the exception of the Green Bay Packers, who are the only publicly owned NFL team. Example of an individual sports league is the PGA, and an individual sport faces different challenges than team sports such as football or basketball would. Some history of the PGA is the first U.S. Open, which is the major golf tournament, happened in 1895, but the PGA was not formed until the year 1916. Some of the objectives of the PGA include to promote interest in the game of golf, to protect the mutual interests of PGA members, and to hold tournaments and meetings for the benefits of players. Players must meet strict qualifications to play on the PGA Tour. Television revenues and corporate sponsors have led to high purses on the PGA Tour with upwards of millions of dollars. For industry format, the way league revenue is league revenue derives from TV and radio contracts and league-wide licensing and sponsorship programs. Due to the rising cost of owning a franchise, which is up to hundreds of millions of dollars, ownership groups are assembled to purchase franchises. When teams cannot get the revenues they need, they turn to a strategy called franchise-free agency. Under this strategy, franchises threaten to move their teams if their demands are not met. This is the reason for a lot of franchise relocations. because teams are always trying to maximize their revenue and they think that they can maximize it in another location. An issue affecting franchise values in the MLB is that the MLB does not share local broadcast revenues, so large market teams like the New York Yankees are going to make a lot more money than small market teams such as the Kansas City Royals. Career opportunities within professional sport. There are many roles within a professional league, ranging from the commissioner and his front office personnel to the team's general managers and his front office personnel. The general manager is in charge of all player personnel decisions, including scouting and drafting players, signing free agents, trading players, and negotiating contracts. The other front office personnel cover the other operations of the franchise. Entry-level front office positions tend to be in sales, marketing, community relations, and media relations. A challenging issue for professional sport is the salary cap. In an effort to contain player personnel costs, salary caps are used in the following leagues: NFL, NBA, NHL, MLS, etc. Salary caps are intended to create parity among teams by capping how much a team can spend on salaries. Salary caps create problems because GMs can find loopholes around it. In the NFL, signing bonuses can be divided across the entire lifetime of a contract. And another problem is that they force teams to cut established veterans or pay them less money to make room to sign other less established, less expensive players. A third problem is that they have spending minimums, so low revenue teams cannot cut their payroll to stay competitive because they always have to spend a certain amount of money. These problems can cause an uneven playing field and are why certain teams tend to always sign the big name free agents such as the Yankees or the Red Sox. Another controversy is that without a salary cap, there is not a level playing field, and the teams with the most money buy all the big name players away from the smaller market teams. Related to my career, this information relates to my career path because someday I hope to work in the professional sports industry. Specifically, my dream would be to work in Major League Baseball in the front office of the Cincinnati Reds. The information in this chapter helped me because it gave me a lot of details about the types of positions available in the front office and what types of things those jobs entail. Now that I know this information, I feel a lot more informed with my decision to pursue a career in this field, and I also know what type of job I can expect to get, and I still hope to work in the professional sport industry someday.